And welcome back to Metropole Sports Center. My name is Nation Oano. Well, it's time for us to continue the sports conversation. And as I promised you in the second part of the show, we are going to be shedding focus into the Euro competitions, where a number of big giants have been knocked out of the round of 16 tournament, the round of 16 stage of the competition, namely France, Germany, Croatia, and Senegal. Just before I take a deep dive into the Euro 2020 competition, these are just some of the things that you need to know about the most expensive EPL club-to-club transfers in our Money Ref segment. And the following are the most expensive EPL club-to-club transfer. Now, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, the move that was made from Crystal Palace to Manchester United at a paltry 50 million euros, followed by Riyad Mahrez, who was transferred from Leicester City worth 60 million euros to Manchester City. The other biggest transfer, club-to-club transfer that we've experienced in the English Premier League was the move by Virgil van Dijk, who was out of the EPL games for the better part of the season, courtesy of an injury that he suffered during the season. Now, he was transferred from Southampton at 75 million euros. Romelu Lukaku was transferred from Everton at 75 million euros. Kyle Walker from Tottenham Hotspurs at 50 million euros. John Stones, 47 million euros from Everton and pounds, and Gylfi Sigurdsson, 45 million pounds from Swansea. I beg your pardon, the numbers are in pounds. Now, Nemanja Matic moved from Chelsea at 40 million pounds, and then Fernando Torres made a transfer from Liverpool at 50 million pounds. Finally, we close it off with Raheem Sterling from Liverpool to Manchester City at 49 million pounds. That's a lot of money. In case you're wondering why we are talking about the most expensive EPL club-to-club transfer, comes at the backdrop of the move of Jadon Sancho from Borussia Dortmund into the English Premier League side, that is Manchester United. Now, switching gears away from the English Premier League, the biggest topic of conversation this week was the knockout of major teams from the Euro 2020 competition, that is France, Germany, and Croatia, and also Sweden. I beg your pardon. Earlier, I had mentioned Senegal instead of Sweden. Thank you for that correction. Now, Shilenje, these particular games that were played in the course of the week in the Euro competition, quite a surprise by France to be knocked out by Switzerland. Was this a scoreline that you expected?
It's not very much expected. It's a bit a blip from the World Cup winners. So much was expected out of them. They were the favorites, but as you know, football is a game of chances and a game of luck. Clearly, France were overcome by their rivals, and going by how they had played from the group stages, they were not really convincing, because these are World Cup champions, and they were able only to win one game. That was against Germany, courtesy to an own goal. So the other two matches against Hungary and against Portugal, they really struggled to get the two draws, and they were really not convincing going into the knockout phase. And it was not a very big surprise for them to lose to Sweden.
Okay. This competition has been dubbed as a competition of the underdogs because nobody expected Switzerland to make it to the this stage of the competition, and there are also other teams that nobody even expected to be in almost the final of the competition. Ukraine has also proceeded to the next round of the competition. Do you agree with that sentiment that the Euro this season is a game of the underdogs?
I can only partially agree, but not fully, because in the last 8, remember, we still have big boys. In that lineup, we have Belgium, which is the #1 team ranked by FIFA, coming into this competition. That is a big boy. We have Italy in there. We have England. We have Spain. So it's at the moment it's still a mixture of the underdogs and the big boys. So it's not quite well to fully agree with that sentiment. Yeah.
Looking at the game between Germany versus England, it looked like an easy through pass for England. Did you expect that from England?
No, it was not a through pass for England. Yeah, they earned the win. Remember, they've not beat Germany since 1966. Yeah, in a knockout competition. They've been able to win in these other friendlies, but not in a knockout phase. So for them, it was a big achievement for a team like England, compared to the other games that they played, like the 2010 World Cup, where they were brushed aside 4-1. And that was a star-studded England that consisted of the likes of Wayne Rooney, Frank Lampard, Rio Ferdinand, John Terry. They had every good player, but Germany just wiped them apart. And you can really see that this other game, which has a crop of young players, others who play for smaller clubs, with a younger coach, who demands for performance rather than a club which one plays for. They were able to grind results in the game. Germany were nowhere. England controlled the game from start to the finish. Germany had only a few chances, which again they didn't convert to goals. So congratulations to England. They did a good job. That is a history, and that win has really boosted their morale going into the quarterfinals.
Okay. Yeah. Looking at the German side, they're at a transition point, because you remember Joachim Löw is going to be resigning, is going to be finishing his tenure at the German side. The question is, what next for Germany? Because Löw has been an integral part of the squad for the longest time, you know, giving them a World Cup, being with them all through the journey. So how would you rate the transition point, and in which direction do you think the German side is going to go? Do you think things are going to improve, or they're going to go down from here?
For sure, Germany is a top side, is a top team, World Cup champions in 2014, and is a team which I don't think their standards are going to drop any soon, even with the change of the coach. Julian Nagelsmann is coming in, a very top coach from RB Leipzig. Not he's this Bayern coach is coming in. Favre, actually, who was coaching Bayern, is the one who's coming to take Germany. I believe in him. He won the Champions League with the Bayern Munich the previous season, that was 2019-2020, and he's a good coach. He's worked with most of these players, most of the young players that are coming into the German squad, and I believe he can transit the triumph that he had in his club at Bayern to the national team, because he has most of those players, the likes of Serge Gnabry, the likes of Kimmich, who are playing with him in the Bayern Munich club. So he should perform better. For the outgoing Joachim Löw, is a big blow for him. He's bowed out at a low moment. Maybe he should have left when he was riding high, but this is a game of football. You never know what's coming to happen to you. So he's gone out, his head down, but he lives as a legend for Germany, having helped them to win the World Cup in 2014.
Okay. And now the focus shifts into the quarter-final round of the competition. Now Belgium versus Italy. I think when the Euro was beginning, we were having this conversation with you about the performance of the Italian squad this time round. I know they've been having a series of ups and downs, but they look much more sharper, they look much more determined and have the will to win this year's competition, or this year's round of the Euro 2020 competition. I quickly wanted to get your take on what you make of the Belgium versus Italy squad and what can we expect from that particular game.
Wow! Belgium versus Italy. This is a repeat of 2016 Euros. It was a group stage. They were in the same group, and Italy had Antonio Conte as the manager. Belgium had Roberto Martinez, and Italy won 2-0 when Conte was playing the typical catenaccio for Italy, where they defend and play counter-attack. They were able to beat Belgium 2-0. And from that point, Belgium has really departed from the open play that they were playing at that particular time. Martinez has been able to bring in another style of 3-4-3, whereby he has congested the midfield, so they play very well at the midfield and they have good players, and the quality has really risen in the Belgium team. From that time, Belgium has risen to the best team in the FIFA rankings. They are the #1 team ranked coming into this tournament, and the players in the Belgium team, you can see that most of them, like I can say about half of the team, they have more than 100 caps in the national team. It just shows you how experienced, the experience that they have in their team. Most of the Italy players are coming into the national team, except the old guys like Giorgio Chiellini, who've been there for some time. Belgium have a better squad. They have so much cohesion. Despite Italy having gone unbeaten since 2018, I don't see if they're going to bundle out Belgium. Despite the competition being too close, I fancy Belgium to beat Italy. They cannot lose again or repeat their same results as they had in 2014, and I really fancy Belgium to go to the semi-finals.
Okay. Many pundits are hinting at the fact that the Italian squad has improved in this year's competition, because looking at the Italian squad, they seem to be playing sort of like the Mourinho ball. You hold back, but the moment they get one chance, they run away from it. Do you think that is going to present a big challenge to the Belgian squad?
It can be a challenge, but as I told you earlier, Belgium has really departed from that open play game. At the moment, they also try to contain at the midfield, and they have speedy forwards. If you see a guy like Romelu Lukaku, is a guy who can play those counter-attack games. One-on-one, he'll beat you. Even if you are 2 or 3 defenders, he's a guy who has the physique to beat those defenders. So Belgium has the blend of being able to possess and again to play the counter-attacks. That is where they can now beat the Italians, who just play one style, which is the catenaccio one. Yes. Okay.
Looking at the Czech Republic versus Denmark game, what do you make of that particular?
That is also another very entertaining fixture. Denmark have been robbed by the departure of Christian Eriksen during the opening game. And that is something that has really pushed Denmark to play and give this kind of results, to be able to play up to the quarter-final levels. So I think the Eriksen factor will be pushing them a lot, as well as for the Czech, their win against Netherlands. This is also a very huge morale for them. That is a very entertaining game, but I fancy Denmark to progress.
Okay. Nobody expected Ukraine to get to this round of the competition. They looked much more clinical under the leadership of Shevchenko to get into this league. Should England be worried of this particular squad?
Of course, they should be worried. It's not just a matter of looking down on them. They should be worried that this is a Ukraine side who finished as second runners-up, but they've been able to dislodge Sweden, which was a top side in their group. So they are worth opponents, very strong, but I think the morale that England has after beating Germany should be able to propel them to brush aside Ukraine, though it's a very toughly contested match. The quality in the teams shall be very close.
Okay. So you fancy that the cup is coming home this time for real? For England, that is.
Winning the cup is another story. Yeah, but I think they can play the semi-finals, and also they can play the finals, because they have a bit fairer channel towards the final as compared to the other teams like Belgium and Italy.
Okay. Yeah. Shilenje, we've talked in depth about the composition of the squad. Very quickly, I wanted to get your predictions on the respective games. Maybe in terms of scoreline, you could help us with that. Belgium versus Italy, you've already, your scale sort of tips in favor of Belgium. Any particular scoreline that you have in mind?
It's closely contested, perhaps 2-1.
2-1. Czech Republic versus Denmark.
That one can go even to penalties. It's a very, very close one.
Okay. And then finally, Ukraine versus England.
Ukraine versus England, I also fancy a 1-0 victory for England.
Okay. So that's our prediction for the Euro 2020 competition. We'll be here next week to compare the scorelines and the results of the games that will be played this weekend and the better part of next week. Well, it's time for us to shift gears into the events watch segment of the show, where I'll be pointing you to some of the matches and the games that you need to be watching out for this weekend. Now, in the Euro 2020 competition, the following are just the games that are going to be played this weekend. That is the quarterfinals of the competition. That is, Belgium is going to be squaring it out with the Italian side, that is Italy. Czech Republic is going to be playing against Denmark, and Ukraine is going to be playing against England. Now, in the Kenya Premier League, the following games are going to be played. That is, Tusker is going to be squaring it out against Gor Mahia, and Sofapaka versus Vihiga United, Wazito FC versus Posta Rangers, and Bandari FC versus the Nairobi City Stars. In the FKF Betway Cup, that is going to be pitting the Mashemejis, that is Gor Mahia versus AFC Leopards. Quick clarification, earlier it had been indicated that the game was going to be played at the Ruaraka grounds, but the game is going to be played at the Utali grounds. Make sure you follow that particular game and see which team is going to be representing the country in the CAF Champions League. Away from that matters NBA. The game 6 and 7 in the Eastern Conference, that is going to be pitting Milwaukee Bucks versus the Atlanta Hawks, is also going to be played this coming weekend. Make sure you watch out that particular game and see which team is going to be the champions of the Eastern Conference and are going to be squaring it out against the Phoenix Suns in the finals of the NBA. Well, that's all the time that we had on Metropole Sports Center this week. See you next week, same place, same time.